morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. Today I'm going to do a reading wrap-up. I've seen this on other blogs over time, and it's just sort of a quickie run-through of what I've been reading in the last little while and not really called to do a book review on. So let's begin. The Red House Mystery by A.A. Milne, the author of Winnie the Pooh, is just turning out to be a delight. We're doing it as a read aloud, Steve and I, and we're doing it while either dinner's being made or at the end of the day. Here's Cleo Bell. Hello. Doesn't she look good against the gray carpet? It's just like, it's like we chose it for her. Anyhow, so this is a murder mystery in England, and it's so far turning out to be quite an interesting little cozy problem kind of thing. I've noticed one or two things in the plot that I'm wondering if they're deliberate misalignments, because that's where the red herrings are. So we're just I don't know, we're about 20, 40, 50 pages into the story. So it's going to be fun to find out whether my suspicions are true or not, and I feel like I know who the murderer is, but so far there aren't any clues kind of leading in that direction. I've just jumped ahead. We just also, as a read aloud, but with the kids, we do this on Sundays through Zoom call. We're doing Mr. Pim. What's the title?
Enter Mr. Pim, I think.
Enter Mr. Pim, a play by A.A. Milne, which is quite comical in its way, but it's also a not a whodunit, but like someone from the past has reappeared and caused a whole lot of mayhem. And is it a case of mistaken identity, or what exactly is going on? So for the last two Sundays on Zoom, we have read Act 1, then Act 2. So this Sunday coming, we'll be doing Act 3, and all will be revealed. So A.A. Milne has done a lot of other writings that most people don't know about, and I am just really enjoying him as an author. I'm not sure that I actually have, maybe that's something I should add at the bottom if I can find some other things that he has written about. So yeah, that's a wonderful read aloud, and if you don't want to read aloud, then it's a great mystery to pick up on your own. And it's through Mint Editions. I just asked my bookstore to get it for us, and they did without any trouble, so you don't have to be looking for secondhand books. The next one I'm bringing to you is Wolf Brother by Michelle Paver. This was written in 2004. It's a three-part trilogy that is about the ancient people and ancient darkness, and so it's kind of talking about First Peoples, but First Peoples without any identifiable character traits. I mean, we don't know. We're not in Arizona, that's clear. So we're not dealing with the Hopi or the Navajo. We are possibly in Europe. We are possibly, close to the Rocky Mountains. It's kind of an environment that could be anywhere in the world prior to any kind of civilization, whatever the heck happened in the world. So this is about a young boy whose name is Tarek, and his dad has been murdered by a bear that has a demon. It's possessed by a demon. And so the father has been keeping Tarek in the woods on their own, isolated from the other clans, and has been training him in how to track and protect himself and look for food and all these kinds of things, and has not revealed to Tarek his role in the Wolf clan, which is what they belong to. So there's a whole bunch of things that Tarek is just completely oblivious to. And after Dad has died, he comes across a wolf cub, and the wolf cub and he begin to journey through the lands and the clans and work together. Now, Dad, before he died, made Tarek swear that he would go to the Spirit Mountains to get rid of the demons. And Tarek doesn't know how he's going to do that, and he's completely ill-prepared for it. So this is his adventure, going from complete ignorance to the Spirit Mountain. And because it's a part of a three-part series, for me, this actually did read as a complete book. I don't actually feel called to go to book 2 or book 3 because this had a really solid ending. You're not left with a cliffhanger. It's great writing, and this person really, Michelle, really writes beautifully about the environment and about the spirit world, and Tarek sees the world as a tracker. He sees it in terms of the colors and the fog and the moisture and what's on the land, and so he's in almost constant communication with his vision and his hearing, so he's very in the present, and so he sees the world mostly through his senses, and it's a really beautiful little journey that he's taking. It's pretty scary, I must say. It is pretty scary, and the demon bear, whoa, because every kill that he makes, he just gets stronger, and the stronger the moon gets, it's a red moon, the stronger the bear, the bigger the bear. So Tarek is really up against some tough stuff. I think this is an excellent book, especially for a kid who likes an adventure. And you know, it's not overwhelmingly scary for those kids who are a little bit timid. It's kind of hard to judge that, you know, nowadays, because what's on television and in video games, I don't even know where your violence warnings begin and end. It's anyhow. Okay, the next book is a YA book. It's the Inheritance Games. She came from nothing. They have everything. Let the games begin, by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And I have read her one or two of her other books, Little White Lies and Little White Scandals, I think. Anyway, she's a fun writer. She's writing about a young girl in this book, Libby. No, Libby is the sister, and it is, oh my gosh, what's her name? I'll get to what her name was. Avery. She has got a plan in her head about getting away from her small town. She's going to go off, become an actuarial accountant, and game plan is in place. And then along comes information that she has actually inherited something from a stranger person, a person she doesn't know. And so she gets to where this home is of this unknown benefactor, and she meets the family, and they're kind of wacky doodle and definitely privileged, definitely in the world of wealth that we don't even begin to understand, and they're not too keen. What's she doing here? So there's 3 brothers, fairly close in age, and each of them has got their own personality quirks and sort of a dominant thing that they would be known for. And one of the things Grandpa has done is, so Grandpa is the one who has given the inheritance to Avery instead of his grandchildren. He has set up a bunch of clues for them to figure out kind of why they have been disinherited and what they're supposed to do with it. She inherits the stuff no matter whether these clues get solved or not, she's good. But there's just a bunch of questions around the whys and how's it going to play out. And of course the parents kind of stick their noses into it. It's definitely it's the kind of thing you can imagine a movie being made out of. It's not terribly character driven. Everybody's got their own set of character traits, and the plot moves within those character traits. Yeah, the adventure in terms of finding out what the clues are and so forth, I'm not very good at that sort of thing to begin with, so I didn't guess anything in advance. I had one tiny glimmer of how maybe the tail ending was going to go, but wasn't 100% sure, and it didn't actually come out the way I thought it was going to do. One of the things I've noticed about this author is that she uses an older man to set up the dilemma for the young people. So that was true in the 2 other books that I had read, where an older protagonist had laid the ground for work for whatever the tribulations were that the youth had to work their way through. And she uses a team of youth to be able to navigate whatever the challenge is. So in this one, it's one girl and the brothers, and there is another girl in the background, and Libby, Avery's sister, is kind of in the background too, but they don't play a strong role. it's okay. You know, I'm going to give it about a 3.5 out of 5 because it is well written. I was entertained through the whole thing. It wasn't a put down pickup book. It was one that I really wanted to keep on going with. And I'll probably read more by this author. It comes out under my nose. She's one of the authors that when you see it, you grab it, but I don't usually put her on my, searching it out list. So I'd say this was pretty good. Now, there's something called the Natural series here that she's written, which I am unfamiliar with. Deadly Little Scandals, I'm sorry, Little White Lies, The Lovely and the Lost, Bad Blood, All In, Killer Instinct, and The Naturals. So, yeah, I'll put that on maybe for next winter. I'll put that as something to do over Christmas when it's kind of cozy reading time. All right, these next two books, I had imagined that I was going to do some kind of contrast and compare. I was really expecting a lot from one book and not so much from the other book, and it became completely inverted. And in fact, I actually got a little pissed off about these two books. They're both middle readers. The Thing About Jellyfish by Ali Benjamin. It's a lovely book. And it's a book about grief, and one of the things that our Susie has always been curious about things, and as she she's kind of an information hound, and she likes to share that quite a bit with people, and so she's always on about something, because if you make a comment about leather purses, she'll know the history of how leather has been made, or that kind of a thing. And what has happened is that her best friend from grade 6, I guess, has become her very not best friend in grade 7. And as the year has progressed, Susie has not really melded in with the group. She's never been a good group person. She's always just been like a one other friend kind of a gal. And so her best friend has merged with the what's that called? The clique that has it all kind of thing. In grade 7, those are pretty toxic little groups. And so Susie doesn't get what's happening around her. She can't figure out what's going on in her best friend's mind. And they leave each other at the end of the school year on unkind words, really unkind. Susie gets back at her friend, and the whole situation is unkind. And then turns out over the summer that this young girl is in a drowning accident, and Susie's trying to figure out whether it's actually being caused by jellyfish. So she starts to research jellyfish, and she starts to try and track down experts in jellyfish. And so she's trying to create another scenario that makes more sense in her mind, that this accident wasn't an accident. There had to have been some kind of precipitator involved. And so we're watching her go through this grieving process, going back to school. Nobody really gives her the benefit of her grief, if that makes sense. Her friends all feel that they are just more grief-stricken than the next person. And so it's a very kind of middle grade drama queen grief kind of a story. Susie is a very solid character. I liked her quite a bit. I didn't want to like this book really, because it's about jellyfish. It was on my list from Hornbook a couple of years ago, so I was just checking it off. Yeah, I finally read it. And so I wasn't prepared to really enjoy it. I don't know why. I just went into it thinking, yeah. And it turned out to be a really enjoyable book. And the things I learned about jellyfish, for someone who hates going into any kind of water that isn't in a chlorinated swimming pool, it doesn't encourage me to get into any kind of seawater or lake water. But for those of you who do not mind aquatic creatures, you will find this fascinating. So I think it's a really solid book. She really does deal with grief in a positive kind of a way. And there's a good resolution. Yeah, it's positive. Now this book, The Year I Flew Away by Marie Arnold, was recommended to me by one of the vlogs that I watch. I think it was That's So Po, Shannon. She loved it. She just really loved it. She felt that it was just adorable and thought-provoking and just lots of really great adjectives. So I thought, I'll give that a shot. And it's about a little girl who's come from Haiti, Gabrielle, and her parents have to stay in Haiti. Gabrielle goes to stay with her uncle and aunt and their 3 children. And under no circumstances is she allowed to get into any kind of trouble because they don't really have the money to have her there in the first place. They keep sending money back to Haiti for the family there. So there's no frigging around. You're either here to do what you're supposed to do or you go back home, kid. So she's got that kind of a pressure on her. And when she arrives, she discovers that there's a witch that is in the building. Nobody else knows about the witch. She's very sensitive to the magic in her world. And this comes from her upbringing in Haiti, where the world is still very much a place of spirits and witches and good kind of spirits, bad kind of spirits. And so these kinds of cultural norms she brings with her, of course. And so there's this clash of the Haiti rural culture with the city urban kind of culture, the very rural, poorly educated kids with the super self-satisfied, sophisticated kids. I mean, they're 12, so really they're not that sophisticated. They just think they are. So there's these kinds of clashes going on. Then there's this magical world that is up against this urban, completely non-magical setting. So all these things are coming to crash together, and Gabrielle is not really getting a ton of support from her family. They're being a family, but they're not really helping her transition, because for them it was just leap in with your feet into the fire and you just do it. And I guess what happened was that the adults did it when they were in their teens, not in their late teens and 20s, when they came to America and had that kind of experience. Quite different for a 12-year-old to be just plunged in like that, but they haven't really been able to translate those transition situations into a scenario that she can understand. And one of the issues is that they will always be immigrants. And there are plenty of people out there in the world who are glad to remind a newcomer to the country of America that they will always be immigrants. And so there's this kind of inferiority situation that's going on, not only with Gabrielle, but some of her classmates and the family that she's living with. So what we don't see until really close to the end are immigrants who've made that transition and feel comfortable in their skins in this new country. So from that point of view, I feel we get a very negative picture about what it's like to be an immigrant. And maybe that's fair. I mean, when I was an immigrant, I was blonde and blue-eyed. I fit in pretty easily, but there were certainly issues, but nothing like what these families are experiencing. So maybe that is what it is like to be an immigrant child. So maybe it's a fair depiction. I didn't love this book. I found that as each character progressed, they made decisions that were so counterintuitive. And there's a little rat that's a character in the book that is sort of the little hero in a way, but then he turns on them at the last minute, and there's a complete upheaval. And in the last 2 or 3 chapters, there's another witch that comes in and helps them to. She doesn't actually interfere. She gives them the tools to go forward in combating the evil witch. But the magic all just kind of suddenly turns around, and there's this quest thing that happens at the very last minute that I think was rather complicated and full of potential for like the one that was earlier, like inheritance games. It takes them quite a while to figure out the puzzles and the clues and all the rest, whereas Gabrielle and her friend and the rat do it in a matter of hours. And so it just speeds up in a kind of way that I was getting frustrated with the ending of the book, and thought, it's just I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it didn't feel true to itself, and the characters kind of went upside down, and so I didn't love it. Unfortunately, Shannon, I didn't love it. I was actually pissed off for about 2 days afterwards because I thought these books that I anticipate, this is about the third book this year where I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be good. And then I read it and I think, shit. So, yeah, I'm going to give this one a 2 out of 3. I think that with respect to the immigration and the dilemmas that young Gabriel is facing, I think that it's a solid book for a child who's trying to work their way through those issues themselves. But as far as the magic goes, no, I just, it didn't work for me. And I think I'd have to do a whole video on why it didn't work for me, and it's just not worth it. So that's my reading roundup for this little period of time. I've got a bunch of things to talk about next time. Legend Born, I've just finished, really enjoyed, and my YA book club will be talking about that in 2 weeks, so I'll have a big wrap up for that. And then there are the books that I want to choose for the summer. Oh my goodness, what's that going to look like? I went up into the bedroom to see what I had on the stack, and I've got I kid you not, 2 stacks this high each of potentials. Then there's all the stuff here that I haven't gotten around to, and then there's all the stuff from the library that I have on my waiting list. It's going to be a good selection process, so stay tuned. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true. I'll see you again. Bye!